Hey everyone, so every October and November there are thousands of coho salmon coming into the lower Fraser River, and you can catch them quite easily in the tidal portion of the Fraser River, which is the estuary portion of this very large system. And one of the simplest ways and the most effective way, in my opinion, to catch them is by casting and retrieving spoons and spinners with a pretty light spinning outfit. So in this How to Fish video tutorial, we'll take a look at what you need to know when trying to catch coho salmon in the Fraser River with a spinning outfit. Before we get started, we should look at the type of fishing gear that we need for coho salmon. So the lower Fraser coho vary from 2 pound up to 15 pound. 15 would be pretty big, but the average size is between 6 and 10 pound. So you need a light to medium spinning outfit. So this fishing rod here, it's a Shimano Claris. It's rated between 6 and 10 pound, and it's my favorite rod to use. You can also get one that's 8 to 12 pound, which I feel is adequate, but it's a little heavier than what I preferred. Light to medium spinning rod should go with a pretty small spinning reel. You don't need to get a really big reel because that would just be really heavy, and it would just be a hassle and tiring when you have to cast and retrieve all day. So Shimano 2500 size spinning reel is adequate enough spool with 8 pound test line or 10 pound test line. This is a Shimano Sustain, which is a fairly high-end fishing reel. It retails around $300, but you don't need one that expensive. You can get a Shimano Sahara, which retails for around $80, and that will do the job just as good. For fishing lures, you can't go wrong with spoons and spinners. My favorite spoons are the Gibbs Croc 1/4 ounce. When I started fishing the Fraser River for coho salmon many years ago, the Gibbs Croc 1/4 ounce Gibbs Croc is what I started using, and did really well with those lures. For spinners, again 1/4 ounce, 1/8 ounce spinners with Colorado or French blade. You can use a variety of color. It really depends on the water clarity. And so to choose the color of your lure, you want to go with a darker color if the water is fairly muddy. If the water is fairly clear, if your visibility is around 2 or 3 feet, you want to go with a silver or copper metallic finish with just an orange stripe on the side, and that usually can grab the fish's attention pretty well. Now the fishing spots. Many people have asked where is the best fishing spot for coho salmon in the Fraser River. There really isn't one particular best fishing spot in this whole river. You can catch coho salmon anywhere because the coho salmon will be coming in from the river mouth all the way upstream. So at any given time and tide, they will be passing a point at where you're fishing along the river. So you can fish anywhere you want. You always have a chance of catching coho salmon, but you can increase the chance of catching coho salmon by paying attention to several things. So the first one would be tide. You want to time your tide correctly. So salmon will come into the river with the incoming tide. So if you're fishing 2 or 3 hours before the tide peaks, as the tide starts coming in and until the tide is peaking, that's usually a pretty standard time for targeting coho salmon. But don't ignore the outgoing tide as well. If you have a very slow outgoing tide, if the tidal difference is very small, like 2 or 3 feet, that can be pretty good because a lot of times the fish will come in and they will also retreat a little bit going downstream. So it really depends on the location. Some places are really good when it's high tide, other places really good when it's low tide. And the only way to find that out is to get out and fish and fish the same spot again and again, record down your results in a fishing diary, and so you can go back in the following year and look at it again and see how it is at a given tide. So tide is the first one. Also the time of the season. So like I say, the fishery opens in early October, and usually the first 3 weeks of October is best. I find that mid-October it's probably the period that when the fishery peaks. You can catch them in November as well, but generally by then the fishery tapers off quite a bit. Now some fishing spots are better than others. These coho salmon are migratory, so unlike in the tributary where they hold in runs and pools, these fish are always moving. So they move upstream, they're your only chance of catching this fish is by having the spoon right in front of the face and they'll grab it. But at some spots, if you look for structures such as pylons and the sudden drop in depth, or if the water shallows up all of a sudden, that will confuse the fish a little bit. That will make them stop going up, and they will stay a little bit, and that kind of increases the chance of catching them sometimes. So look for places where the river kind of bends a little bit, so they'll have to change the direction. Look for piers, look for pylons, as I said. Look for rocks in the water. So if you come down during low tide and explore a little bit and figure out what the bottom structure is when the tide is high, those are things that you have to pay attention to if you want to increase the chance of catching coho salmon. Now onto the actual fishing technique. It's very simple. All you gotta do is cast your lure out. Whip it all the way out into the middle. That doesn't mean the fish are always in the middle. A lot of times the fish are very close to the shore as well. Let it sink for a few seconds to the depth where you think the fish are, and just start retrieving. And you don't want to be retrieving like really fast. You want to be doing a pretty gradual retrieve, but not too slow so that it's not dragging along bottoms, so otherwise you'll be snagging up. Just fairly slow enough for the fish to chase. And have your fishing rod point downwards so you have enough room to strike when the fish does bite. And always keep that lure in the water all the way to shore, because as I said, the fish can be chasing all the way in, and sometimes they don't actually commit to the lure until it gets very close to shore. So keep your lure in the water and keep an eye on your lure as well, because all the time you can see the lure and you can see the fish following behind it. So there you have it. Spin casting for coho salmon in the Fraser River can be pretty easy, but if you pay attention to several details, it can definitely increase your catch success. These details include the tide, seasonal timing, paying attention to the fishing spot, and your retrieving speed. So for more information on fishing British Columbia, please check out our website at fishingwithrod.com and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have any other questions regarding this fishery or any other fisheries in British Columbia, please leave a comment and I'm always happy to answer the questions. So until next time, good luck fishing.